I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Where are our prophets now? Where are those messages God chooses to communicate divine revelation through? In the past, the Creator has sent prophets like Abraham, Siddhartha, Jesus, Muhammad, and many more. Maybe our higher power has switched tactics since we reinterpret God's words as soon as the Creator's prophets leave us. Could it be that Spirit talks to each one of us individually and we haven't learned to listen? On Words of the Prophets, our modern prophets show us how to find the internal prophet that is the I Am, and we discuss the application of spiritual principles in all aspects of our lives. Love and light, everybody. I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Today my guest is Virginia Wiseman. Virginia is a long-term practitioner of the science of spirituality. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And we'll get into what that's all about in a few seconds. Today's prophetic topic is only our outer forms that differ. This topic is from the writings of Sant, Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj. Did I do that right?
Pretty good, yeah.
Thank you. Who is the spiritual head of the science of spirituality. The passage reads as follows. When we journey into regions beyond and contact the inner light, we begin to see the interconnectedness of all life. We see that all life, human beings, animals, and plants, are part of one large tapestry. We are all knit together by the same thread of consciousness. We are all soul, all a part of the Creator. It is only our outer forms that differ. And that is just one beautiful saying, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But before we even do any of that, how did you come to practice science of spirituality? What led you to it?
Well, I happen to know what a guru was, probably because of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi back in the 60s.
Did you study with him?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But I learned enough to know what a guru was, and the definition of guru is the dispeller of darkness. And I felt the need for that, so I said my prayers one day. I said, "Dear God, please bring me a guru." And within 2 days, I was walking on the campus of Long Beach State Campus, and a friend came up that I'd never met before. Says, "Can I look at your portfolio?" I said, "Yes." We sat down, we looked at it, and he started telling me about Sant Kirpal Singh, who is the second in the line of these four masters of Surat Shabd Yoga. And so we went back to my place and we talked some more, and he asked me if I wanted to go to satsang in Anaheim, California, so I did. And I desired meditation and initiation that I received 6 months later. But it was that time when a lot of people were turning away from dangerous drugs or just getting kind of out of hand and turning towards a spiritual path. So that's what I did. And it's called Surat Shabd Yoga.
Before we get into that, what resonated with you, other than the fact you asked for it and it was presented to you, which is a pretty powerful sign?
Well,
was there things that resonated immediately, or?
Certainly. On one level, it was free, and I certainly believe that spirituality should be free as the air that we breathe. And when I went to meditation and satsang meeting in Anaheim, I was seeing beautiful light and hearing some sound and just feeling very uplifted. And it just became more and more obvious to me as I read the teachings and thought about what was right for me, that it was right for me. But I had to wait for 6 months, and then I was initiated in Chicago. So it didn't happen right away. But
and you've been practicing this ever since?
Well, yes, I was 22 years of age at that time, and as a lot of people will do, I probably veered from the path during my lifetime. I'm now 65, but I always came back to it, and I never went to another spiritual path. I always kept to the path in my heart and in my actions.
So you felt it really worked for you. Even when you drift away, you come back to it. So
certainly.
It definitely works.
And the leadership fell in my lap twice because the leader in Oxford, Ohio left and asked me to fill in and take up the satsang leadership. And then we had satsang in Santa Fe, and about 9 or 10 years ago the same thing happened. And I never sought to have the leadership, but it just always fell in my lap, and I just said, okay. So I've been blessed with having the leadership because it's kept me associated closely with the path and trying to apply myself and help others.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get called upon to do something that we can't do. So exactly. So what is, in the short version, science of spirituality?
Well, the science of spirituality, and the reason we use the name science, is that one should prove the teachings and everything that is said by the masters in the laboratory of their own experience, and not just take it at face value, blind faith, because our own bodies, minds, and spirits are aligned with God already. And we're already capable of being tuned in, just like a radio, to higher vibrations, because the whole creation is a set of higher and lower vibrations. And it's available to us. We're walking radios. We just need to be tuned in by someone who is able to do that.
Well, we'll get. I want to back this up just slightly. A little bit more history, if we can.
Certainly.
Where and when did science of spirituality start?
It was brought to the United States in the 1950s by the first representative, who's my spiritual master, by the name of Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj. And he did 3 world tours. He began by representing Baba Sawan Singh, who was elderly at the time. And he brought the science of spirituality, which used to go by the name Ruhani Satsang, which is Sanskrit for the science of spirituality, in the 1950s. And so he was the master of this particular yoga for, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact dates. You have them better than I do. But then his own physical son took it over. His name was Darshan Singh when Kirpal Singh passed away. And then the physical son of Sant Darshan Singh, who is Sant Rajendra Singh, who is the present master, took it over. So there's no requirement that they be in the same family. They just happen to be. But it's been going in the United States from the 1950s, and they're over...
Where and when did it start worldwide? I mean, how far back does this go?
Well, the actual establishment for international establishment was in the 1950s, although there are a line of spiritual masters that go way back to the master of Baba Sawan Singh was Baba Jamal Singh, and then before that another, I think we'll do better to just move along, but it's a Sikh path that's been going for centuries. But these are the masters of this century.
So this originated in the Sikh tradition?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Because the reason I'm asking is because the concept of science of spirituality, I mean, the concept of science and spirit goes back thousands of years to the Himalayas and to the...
Definitely.
The rishis that were there and studied the human and spiritual experience. So I was wondering, so this kind of goes back, taps into maybe a little bit of that?
Oh, sure. And the present master is also a dear friend of the Dalai Lama. And he gathers together world conferences of religions. And I would like to point out the science of spirituality is not a religion. It is a spiritual practice that can be done by persons in any religion, and it's totally inclusive, and it's totally easy for someone from a child to a very elderly person with no difficult practices at all.
So let's talk about the practices. What are they?
Well, I mentioned it's called Surat Shabd Yoga, and there are 2 aspects of it. Surat means attention, Shabd means the internal sound current, and yoga means union. So what one would do is get in a comfortable position and forget the body below the eye focus, between and behind the two eyebrows, as much as possible. Just become as still as possible. And then before initiation, there are some helpful hints that can be received. It's called the Jyoti meditation, which means the light meditation, and one would just focus on the inner light. And could even choose a mantra that would be just a word that makes them feel really good, like peace or God or Jesus or anything. But later they would receive a 5-sounded mantra from the present master at initiation.
And that's what you then practice with your meditation. You use that mantra.
That's the one practice. But it blends into the second practice, which is not practiced until one is initiated, because they would not be tuned into the internal sound current. But then one would sit comfortably with their thumbs in their ears and listen to the beautiful sounds of the internal sound current that they would be able to hear in meditation. And that is the vibration that comes from the very Creator right down through to us, and we can pick it up. It's very beautiful, and it has more effect of drawing the body, the spirit out of the body into inner realms. It's more powerful than any other experience to be had.
Well, let's back again up for just a little bit. What is Can you talk about initiation?
Yes, certainly.
What does that look like? I mean,
well, this is a rather stringent path in that one would be required before initiation to not be eating meat, fish, eggs, or partaking of intoxicants, because that already raises one's vibration to where they can receive the inner sound current. But I really want to say that this is an all-inclusive path, and that everyone is at the exact spiritual level that they should be, and if they want to come for simple instructions in the light meditation at any level that they are, that is available to anyone, and I'll be giving contact information on that.
Okay, so vegetarianism, because I'm a vegetarian. I've been one for a while now. Is one of the prerequisites.
Yes, it is, and it's
so
twofold.
What we're saying basically is what we consume, what we ingest, affects who we are, not just the physical, but the intricacies between the physical and the spiritual.
It certainly does, and it raises one's vibration to be eating the sattvic food. That's another topic altogether, but it means the food of the highest vibration. And I was mentioning it's twofold to be on a vegetarian diet. One is we're not disturbing the lives of other creatures, right down to their reproductive eggs that would later become their bodies. But it's karmically, it's better to stay away from disturbing the lives of other creatures, younger brothers and sisters to us in the creation. So it's a very good thing.
Can we distinguish for the viewers what are the levels that are prohibited and what are the levels? How do they make that determination?
Of food, or
yes,
what are we talking about?
Of food, yes. In that same vegetarian, if the listener wants to...
Well, actually, I can mention something that is quite interesting and try to be brief about it. There are 3 kinds of food. There's Rajasic food, and there's... Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. Rajasic is the highly spiced foods that would kind of energize and make one very energetic. And
so like red and green chili.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
And then the tamasic food is foods that are aged, like the meats that we eat are aged, and cheeses. With cheese is all right too, except it's best to go to the rennetless cheese, which has no rennet, which is an animal product. And then the sattvic food is the food of the highest vibration, which would be nuts and cheeses and grains and fruits and soybeans and
Okay.
lentils, all of that. But that is the sattvic food. And if one really wants to meditate and make it easier to achieve contact with the higher vibrations, then the best thing to do is to eat the sattvic food.
So if I hear this correctly, then vegetarianism, because eggs sometimes, they can fall into it. We're looking at something that is not either having a central nervous system or is an embryonic state.
Well, also, there are the 4 gunas, and I know this is getting involved.
Let's
but
get involved.
That would be the creation with aspects of the creation, which would be fire, water, ether, and I'm just going to cut that short now. But with the rajasic and tamasic food, especially the tamasic, which is meats, then all of the gunas are in action. And then with the sattvic food, the ethereal gunas, or the ethereal aspects of the creation, are in action. So there's less involvement with disturbing the creation, and also it's refining the body and the mind and the spirit to stay with the sattvic foods. But I really want to mention that this path offers to anyone connection without even having to be on a vegetarian diet. Or even if they're taking intoxicants still, they can still come or still call and talk about their level of understanding and their level of desire for spirituality. It's all inclusive. No one is looked at except at initiation. They want the master wants them to refine their life and the foods that they take in, and to not deal with intoxicants or drugs before they become initiated. But that does not mean that they can't have some spiritual instruction and contact. It doesn't mean that. But
So
because everyone's at their own level.
So it's about being there if you want to advance beyond a certain point.
Yes.
Get certain
Then it becomes
effects.
more complicated. But aid, help, instruction, conversation, assistance is there for anyone at any level if they wish to call me or wish to come to satsang when it's reestablished in Santa Fe, or wishes to go to that in Albuquerque, which I have the information for.
Okay.
Anyone is welcomed at the satsang, and it's not a religion. It is a spiritual practice, and persons of all religions are welcome.
So let's talk about the meditation now a little bit. You talk about focusing on or near the third eye.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular reason for that?
Because we close down the 9 apertures of the body: eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, and 2 below. Our attention does not go out that way, and it goes within. And the 10th aperture is the 10th door, or the third eye, or the 6th chakra. There are many names that we have in our societies for that place, the seat of the soul between and behind the 2 eyebrows. And then one would just focus about 8 or 9 inches in front of them, forgetting the eyes below, and just focusing about this far ahead of them at anything that they see within, and concentrating on that.
So we're closing our regular eyes, we're focusing in on a third eye, but then we're projecting it outside of ourselves. Why is that?
Because there's inner sight, and we can't have inner sight if we are looking out through the outer sight.
Okay.
So we close it down and forget even that we have eyes, and try not to look at the inner light with our physical eyes, and realize we're looking at it with our spiritual eye.
So when I mean, 'cause for slightly different reasons and a slightly different technique, I also meditate on the third eye.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that we should, if at some point we get it or we're just doing it right, we get a presence of like light at the center of that?
Yes, certainly. And anyone could experience that without being on this path, without being initiated. They might sit down and say, peace, 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 as a mantra within themselves and try to forget everything below the third eye, and they might see some inner lights, and then they could concentrate in the middle of that. But another reason why it's very good to be initiated is just as we have instruction and protection on the physical plane, we wouldn't want to go abroad without maps or knowledge of where we're going, or maybe a guide to take us to the best places or protect us from any dangers. It's the very same on the inner planes.
So the initiation, which is, you said, like a mantra, that mantra then is the equivalent of some form of protection for the
Yes,
meditation?
it is. It's given by the present spiritual master who has that vibration and also has the ability to traverse all of the inner planes right back to the very highest plane of creation. But that is a protection. The mantra is a protection given by the master. It's a certain vibration, it's a certain attention. And I would like to mention here that the masters consider themselves nothing but a light bulb. Just like we have electricity and our light bulb wears out, we have to put another one in if we're going to see the light from our lamp. And they're very humble, and they never speak in terms of I, they always speak in terms of their masters. And it's a power that's always there. It's the creation itself. It's what we are created by and sustained by. And it's a inner vibration and an inner energy that we can tune into. But if we want to go higher than what we can do all by ourselves, we would like to be connected to someone who can traverse all of the planes and protect us within and train us like any professor would.
What was it? I think, I forget which martial arts movie it was. And the student is sitting there meditating, and the master comes along and slaps him with the stick. You're getting distracted, kind of deal. I don't know why that popped into my head. Mm-hmm. Is there a recommendation or requirement for how frequently, how many times a day we meditate, how long we meditate?
Yes, there is, and I don't even pretend to be able to do that myself. The recommended time is a tenth of one's waking time, which turns out to be about 2.5 hours, and split up usually, maybe morning and evening meditation. But it's hard to meditate because our minds don't like it. They don't like to not be in control. They're always trying to pull us downward and outward. Downward meaning through the 9 apertures instead of the 10th, which is inside and upward. The mind does not want to cooperate.
Well, that 10% is a outgrowth of actually to seek practice.
Yes, it is.
And I think they do their 10%, if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years now, they do it in the morning collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the power of the collective makes it a whole lot easier.
It does. Even Christ was saying, where 2 or more of you are gathered in my name, then I am there. And we really feel that at satsang when we gather together, because we are not alone, and we are all one. And we bring the energy to each other, and the love and the support to each other, which start to raise our vibrations already. And then if we go within, we raise it even more. And if we're tuned in at initiation, we can raise it even more. But it's really true that we support each other, and we are not separate from each other. So we do have an additional energy if we meet together.
Let's go back to the science of spirituality, and we'll be bouncing around here. They have, my understanding from reviewing the literature and the website, they're basically dedicated to three things: spirituality, peace, and service. Do you want to? We kind of talked about the spirituality, and maybe you ought to define spirituality for people who are watching. How does the science of spirituality define spirituality?
Well, spirituality is that which is beyond the physical, and consciousness of what is beyond just the physical. And there's a little phrase that is becoming a little time-worn, as phrases will, but it's a good one, and it says, we are a spiritual being having a physical experience. We are not a
physical being having
a spiritual. I hope I got it right.
Yes.
We are spiritual. And spirituality is striving to have experience in the inner realms and with the raising of the consciousness above the spiritual body. And it begins with religions, religio, meaning to bind back. That's the Latin phrase, meaning to bind the spirit back to God. And religions are very necessary, and the science of spirituality doesn't want anyone to leave their religion. They just want them to look into the raising of the consciousness. And that is spirituality, to rise above the body, to rise above the senses, to rise above the physical world.
There was a beautiful statement on the website: rediscovery of the source of consciousness at the center of each of us, that is a soul of great power created in the likeness of God.
Absolutely.
And that was a definition of spirituality. So it goes back to our topic, which is only are out of forms that are differ. So we all have the same, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you use the element ether, that's the kind of that is the component that is the spiritual component that underpins everything?
Yes, because we're all of the very same vibration of creation that comes down. It's like, I like to look at the sun is one and it has many, many rays. And we are one and we have many, many physical manifestations of that same. But when we go back, ultimately, we're from the very same source. And on the physical plane, we go to ethereal consciousness, which is the highest that we can raise our consciousness to. And at those levels, we are all one. It really looks to us as if we're separate in these physical bodies. But as anyone turning to spirituality learns, we are all one.
Just popped into my head, so we'll throw it out there. Does the science of spirituality deal with the concepts of karma, dharma, reincarnation?
Most certainly. Those are more topics, and it's interesting to note that in the most simple way that we come to this existence because of our particular set of karmas, and there are 3, maybe 4 if I'm not getting it quite right, but there's the karma that brings us to this incarnation, which is called the pralabdha karma. There's the kriyaman karma, which is the storehouse of karma, and then there's the let's see, I'm missing something, the sanchit karma. But let's just go back instead to English terms. There's the karma that is our storehouse of karma from all of our incarnations. And then there's the karma that is the particular collection of karmas that brings us to this very creation of this particular body and experience.
So it's like I have a file drawer. I have folders in the file drawer, and each one of them is a karmic debt I've incurred.
Yes.
And then I get to, okay, I'm coming back and I'm going to be wherever and whoever. And I get to go into that drawer and say, okay, I'm going to pull this folder, this folder, this folder. And these are the things I'm going to try to reduce my debt, learn and reduce my debt.
Yes, and our souls do make choices of where we go and what we're doing and wanting to come back to this physical plane and learn. And it's interesting to note that when one is initiated, the storehouse of karmas is obliterated. There's another topic, but I'll try to keep it simple.
Go
But
for it.
the pralabdha karmas, which bring us to this particular incarnation, are not touched. Otherwise, we die at initiation. I mean, we have to live out this particular collection of karmas that brought us to this body. And then the kriyaman karmas is what we do every single day in thought, word, and deed.
Daily karma.
Daily karma.
So that's what John Lennon, instant karma, is going to get you.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, so...
And it will, if it's instant. Otherwise, it might get stored up for another incarnation. But that karma we accrue daily. And if we meditate, we're able to raise our vibration, to raise our consciousness, and actually burn a good deal of that off. And hopefully, if we're turning to spirit, we're already refining our experience, and we're not disturbing others in their striving, and we're serving humanity instead of hurting humanity. So, it's all a package.
Goes to that service that science and spirituality talks about. Before we even get into that, we've talked about meditation, we've talked about basically mantras within meditation, and we talked about some dietary practices, but I was just curious, is there such a thing as prayer?
Most certainly.
Okay.
And very often before starting with the 5-sounded mantra, which is the names of God on the physical, astral, causal, supercausal, and highest spiritual region, those are the names of God through all those regions. It's very helpful to sit down and say one's prayers.
So does everybody get the same initiation mantra?
Yes, they do.
Ah, okay, so no, it's not an individual, unique mantra.
No, not like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi used to give a personal mantra.
Okay.
But no, these are collective, same mantra that has been given for centuries.
Okay. That makes that's a lot clearer
The
now.
names
and that makes
of
a lot
God
of sense. You have
on the 5 planes.
So that's where you get that protection from.
That's partially it,
Yeah.
yes, most definitely. And it also gives the mind something to do. It anchors the mind so that it can't go running off everywhere. It gives the mind something to do and protects the mind and the spirit at the same time.
So we'll get back to prayer in a second.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
so on the mantra, do you count off with mala beads, or is that
Not at all.
Okay.
No, you just run through the names of God from the lowest to the highest, and you keep running them through, but you try to do it slowly and at the same time focusing on the light. That is the Jyoti meditation, the light meditation with the use of the mantra. And then for the Shabd meditation, you drop off the Jyoti aspect. You plug your ears, you listen to the sound current as it comes in from above one's head. It sounds like it's coming from the right side, pardon me, but we're used to listening to sound, and we distinguish it from coming from the right side. So we do that. Yeah, I just want to come back to the prayer, what you were saying about prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer is talking to God. We say words in our mind and deal with ourself and our subconscious and present to God our thoughts and our desires and our pains and our aspirations and our hopes, and we talk with God in prayer. So prayer is talking with God that we do, and meditation is listening to God, dropping off our own dialogue and anchoring ourselves to a mantra or a 5-sounded mantra, and keep running it through slowly, slowly, with the tongue of thought, we call it, not saying it aloud, but anchoring the mind and giving the mind something to do to still the mind so we can rise up to the inner planes and the light within.
So the light within is the response, so to speak?
We all have connection with the light within. Even one who's not initiated can experience light within if they meditate. And that help can be given. But if one wants to rise higher, they want to go into the higher manifestations of vibration. So that would mean that they would have to be tuned in like a radio. And not only would they receive more sound, they would receive more light and have more power connected to them to draw them out of the body to the inner realms.
So that mantra serves as a spiritual tuning fork?
Certainly.
Okay. So
well, at initiation, that's a good analogy. One is tuned in like to a tuning fork, to a certain vibration. But when they do their meditation practices, the mantra itself is charged. And the mantra itself, not only does it anchor, but it raises the vibration and gives the mind and the spirit an anchoring point from which they can rise above.
So it's like Om in Hinduism.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
it's
getting
not really
that vibration.
Different. Not really different. And our thoughts and our words are very real things, especially if we use words on the outer physical plane. Words are very powerful. And even what we do inside of our own minds, the thoughts have matter and they are real things. And if we think the thought of the 5-sounded mantra, that's powerful. But also we need to be mindful of the fact that we can cuss our brothers out inside of our mind and go to a lower vibration, or we can employ love within and
yeah.
Thoughts are very real things.
One of my teachers, Edgar Casey, always would say, thoughts are deeds. We get to choose if they're going to be miracles or crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think those are the exact words, but that's paraphrased. But he always thoughts,
exactly.
Thoughts are real. They create. And what are we creating?
Right, exactly. Because we are creators ourselves. We create love, hatred, misery, spirituality, raising of our comfort level of our brothers, whether it be physical or spiritual. And thoughts are very real things. And
yes.
The masters caution us to watch thought, word, and deed.
Exactly. So let's go back. We've been talking about a lot of things. We bounce.
Oh, yeah.
We bounce. Peace as part of the practices of science and spirituality. You want to define peace?
Well, peace is the opposite of war, of course, or battling with our fellow beings for what we want in this physical life. When we rise above and understand that the physical life is not all that there is, and we start to strive for our higher consciousness, we become more peaceful and we drop off ways that are damaging to ourselves and others. But universal peace is what we strive for. And international peace, not just the peace for ourselves as interacting with a spouse or a friend. It's on all levels. And we cannot rise above body consciousness or experience in pure spirit without being peaceful, because it will certainly just get in the way. It doesn't jibe. It doesn't bring us to that point where we can rise above unless we are peaceful on every level, and we strive to help the whole world to be peaceful.
And that becomes the service.
That is certainly the service. On our personal level, it's called seva, and this is taught greatly in the science of spirituality. In our particular city, there's kitchen angels take food to people who can't get out for food.
Yeah.
And we just lost a very dear person in our community who founded Outside In. That's David Lesh, and he was having people organized to take music to shut-ins, people who just cannot get out. And that was a form of seva too, a definite form of seva, and just being there for fellow beings. We have a lot of organizations right here in Santa Fe that do that.
Yeah. I mean, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have a society that would be functioning at all.
No. That's our city.
Yeah. So I'm trying to tie this all in together. So the peace and then the service that comes from the peace. I mean, I have to have a certain amount of peace. I mean, I can't give away what I don't have.
Of course.
So I have to be at peace before I can be of service.
Absolutely.
And all of this again emanates out of the practice, that the 5 names of God mantra get us centered, the meditation gets us centered, and we start to raise that vibration, so to speak, that allows us to be at peace and then be of service.
Certainly. And another thing that happens when we go within and witness our own inner light and hear beautiful sound, we realize that same light and sound is within each and every individual, and we start to realize on a very real level our unity with all others. And when one is doing seva, they boost themselves probably more than they boost the person that they're giving to or the organization that they're giving to. And they receive more peace and light. And it's a tuning in to all those good things, and seva is a very important aspect of this path.
It's walking your talk.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk it. It's, I mean, a lot of the different, Martin Luther said it, John Wesley said it in one form or another, faith without action is empty. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, to have this practice and not do anything with it,
well,
is empty.
We are all called upon in numerous ways, every day, every month, or every year, to do something to serve others. Sometimes it falls right in our lap, and we decide, are we going to deal with this or not? Are we going to give or are we not? And when we decide to give, we become unified with the whole action of soothing others, helping others, raising others up to a more comfortable level where they can start to develop their own spirituality. But it's a very real thing.
So the demonstration of the giving, the service of the giving, becomes a sign of a higher vibration that somebody else can then say, wait a second, maybe if they're doing this, I can do this.
Oh, certainly. It becomes a critical mass, we all just keep raising together, and it makes the whole world better. The seva is what we can do on the physical level with our hands, our feet, our eyes, our ears. We can employ our being to help others. And do we employ it to hurt others, or do we employ it to help others? And we should be mindful of that.
That's, again, where the practice comes in.
And for the one who is giving, it's thrilling. It's thrilling to see someone else be soothed or raised up, or to enjoy from a lower level to a higher level.
Does science of spirituality embrace the concept of duality, like a higher, lower self, or?
Yes and no. It's where the consciousness lies. And I hesitate to say lower self. I just would rather say our physical self. Although even Saddam Hussein, who turned out to be a very evil force in the world, has had the very same light within him that each and every one of us have.
So what you're saying is it's almost like on a scale, a musical scale. We got the lower notes on the right-hand side of the piano. We got the higher notes on the left-hand side of the piano.
We got Minnie Riperton hitting the highest notes anybody can hit. And then
So
someone else hitting the lowest.
So it's not necessarily duality, it's about where are you on the scale.
On the whole
where are you vibrating?
matrix of the creation. And I hesitate to say lower or higher because everyone is where they're supposed to be. The desire to be at a different level, when it dawns on us, is what is important. Do we wish to raise our vibration and our awareness and our consciousness, or do we want to stay right where we are, where our ego might be fed very nicely, but our spirit might not?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when I say higher and lower, what I'm saying is how close am I to the divine vibration? Mm-hmm. You know, am I getting closer to it, or am I getting further away from it?
Right, and if we don't go within, if we don't still our minds, if we don't look for the light and the sound within, we can't have experience of those higher vibrations. And once we do, when we come back out to the physical world, that actually refines us on the physical world too.
And as we refine, we connect or touch somebody else, and that can have that refining, raising up factor as well.
Oh, certainly, and there's so many levels of suffering on this physical plane where we can aid. I mean, if someone can play a little harp or something, and this is something I want to do more of, I want to really put into action. I've been wanting to serve on Outside In, but just go into even an Alzheimer's ward and play music for those people that might soothe them or might make them happy temporarily, but it might also give them another viewpoint. Or you serve someone who is very ill and just soothing and raising their vibrations. The vibration of music is a higher vibration in itself, unless it's maybe heavy metal, and I don't wish to disparage heavy metal. There's a need for that too, because everyone is where they belong. I'm not saying if you really like heavy metal as opposed to classical that you're low. No, there's a place for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about a place. But I think there is
a stratification. We're all at a certain
I mean, there's a destination. You know, the destination, I think, in a lot of ways is the realization, the demonstration, like the topic. There's only out of form that differs. So that we're all one. There's an internal part of us that is the same, and the closer we get to that recognition, the closer we get to that vibration, you know, the more our life reflects it. So the journey is just, it's
the journey.
Yeah.
And also, along with saying that everyone's at the same level, that the exact level they should be at, everyone needs to have experience from the very lowest to the very highest.
Yeah.
And also, this is another whole topic, but if you're talking about karma, you're also talking about reincarnation.
Yes.
And that we just keep coming back until we get it.
Exactly. We're getting down to almost the end. So I'd like to take a couple of minutes and allow you to make any announcements you'd like to make, and I've got a couple of announcements, then we'll come back and we'll put a wrap on.
Very good. And will you be putting a telephone number on the
I believe that's been happening as it's been happening.
Oh, I see.
As we've been happening, it's been happening.
And I just want to mention I am available for anyone who wants to talk. And if someone wants to take it farther than that, I could even give over the telephone the present master's instructions for the Jyoti meditation, which is not initiation. And then I could even meet with someone over tea or a meal and talk about their desire for spirituality and where to take it from there. And there's no active satsang right now in Santa Fe. There was for about 12 years. But if and when there is a desire for people to come together, I would like to reinstate as a satsang coordinator, but it's not appropriate right now. But even though there is no active satsang here, I am available most certainly to aid or to talk with anyone. Even if someone just wants to look it over, talk about spirituality. Give me a call if it's something that you would like to talk about.
Okay. And if you've missed those numbers, the contact information, you can contact me and I'd be happy to pass that on. The website is wonderful. It's got all kinds of goodies there, so you may want to go explore that. That's SOS what? SOS.org, I believe?
Yes.
www.sos.org. Okay, I've got a couple of announcements.
Was that on the... That's there too?
That should be floating across the screen.
Yeah, just go onto the internet. You could learn an awful lot about it, and then if you want to talk to someone personally, give me a call.
Okay. I want to let you all know that you are watching Words of the Prophets, and this is public access television. And what that means is, you, the public, are part of this process. So, want to hear from you. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, just, you can email me, you can call me. Maybe there's a show that you'd like to see me do, or maybe even there's a show you'd like to do with me. Love to hear from you. Love to get you involved. Because again, without the public, the station doesn't exist, the show does not exist. So let's hear from you.
It's all inclusive.
We're all one, and we need to demonstrate that oneness. The other thing I want to let everybody know is, if you're new to this, I am a spiritual counselor. Not only am I a minister, I hold a state license in counseling, and I do what I call spiritual counseling, which means that we work with the spirit, not with the mind, because I don't believe we could solve the problems with the same instrument that creates it, which is usually our best thinking. So if there's a life problem or just dissatisfaction, or maybe you want to just grow more spiritually, I'd be happy to help you. I'm not here to have a congregation. I do not have a congregation. So give me a call, email me, we could set something up. My services are on a donation basis, so money should not be an issue. So I'd love to hear from you. Next week, we're going to be looking into the messages that keep coming to us, and we've had a number of guests over the last few months who are channeling Divine Mother, channeling Jesus, channeling, people or spirits in those areas. And my guest next week is Virginia Ellen, and she channels Jesus and she channels the Divine Mother as well. And I don't think I used the proper terminology, but tune in next week and we will be talking to her and the messages and how we raise our spirituality in these current times. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to just address, there's so many topics to address, but we started talking about the teacher, the master, and how important that is. And I loved your definition of guru, because those are the two, gu and ru are the Sanskrit words that they
Dispeller of darkness.
Yeah, remover of darkness, yes. Exactly. Let's talk about the need for that and how that works, just off your own experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've had the opportunity to actually be in the physical presence of Sant pulsing for maybe 5 days many years ago, which was just a treasured experience, and also visited the present master twice in Chicago. And just to be around someone who is vibrating at that higher level and can speak of it and can guide us even externally with talks, speech, aid of all different kinds. There are some outstanding individuals in this world, and these particular masters that are in the lineage of science of spirituality are very special. But
what was that experience like for those 5 days?
Oh, intense.
I mean, were you in an ashram or?
We were in a public room in a hotel.
Okay.
And the master would come in, and it seemed the whole room would fill with light, and everyone was just quietly listening to the talk of the master. And initiation was offered for those who were ready, and people who never had any experience of looking at their spirituality, even wandered in, I
It's
heard
kind of drawn in. You know,
heard
I
a
could
very
feel it.
interesting
Yes.
story, and I tend to believe it. But anyway, that people would see this golden light pouring out from under the doorways and say, "What is that?" and want to peek in and see what was going on. And even that itself would draw people in to just come and sit down and listen. And it's the outer instructions for how to live on this plane and how to refine ourselves in the ways that we should be living our lives and contributing to the lives of others.
Do you get to question the teacher?
Yes, you do. You can sometimes be in line for a personal interview. It takes a while to get up there, you know, because there's so many people that want to, but you can have a personal interview that is a few minutes of the Master's attention just on you. Yes.
Do you get to communicate with your guru, so to speak, when you're not in the presence? I mean, can you reach out? You have a spiritual question. You have a spiritual crisis.
Well, they call the Master in the teachings the unpaid counselor. That once the form of the Master can be seen within, because the Master is all one with everything too, so the ethereal form of the Master manifests within. And the practitioner can, or the initiate can see that form and can actually ask questions of that form on the inner plane, just as we could line up and wait for our chance to talk to the Master on the outer plane.
Yeah. I had a story I'd share about that, but we're running out of time. But I've had that experience with one of my teachers, and they would just constantly, I thought they would finish talking, and every time I did, I was going to back away, and I'd get pulled closer. And well, what I found out afterwards was they were checking in with their Master on the spiritual plane as to what information they should be giving me and how to present it. Virginia, we're out of time. I thank you so much. Just to let you all know who are watching, I met Virginia, about 8-9 years ago. You were doing a teaching at the Anno Street Library in the community room, and that's where we first met.
Just a talk.
Yes. Well, we were talking a little bit of teaching. I remember the meditation teaching. But I want to thank you. We're running out of time. It's a pleasure having you back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for tuning in. The message is the same. It's only our outer forms that differ. Every show that you've been watching here for the last 3 years has carried that same message. We're carrying it because it's important. I believe it's important. The people who come on as my guests believe it's important. We are one. And in that oneness, we can grow, we can self-destruct. Look around you. Do you like the way it's going? If you don't, you can change it. Your energy, your spirit is contagious. All you got to do is want to change it. Your perception's the only thing that have to change. Nothing else has to change. So until next week, I thank you all for tuning in. I hope you take this out into the world and practice it and demonstrate it. And we'll see you next week. Love and light, everybody. I'm Reverend Phil, and I've been your host for Words of the Prophets. Thank you for tuning in. Please join me again next week, same time, same channel, for more Words of the Prophets.